Hey, Barbara Rose here, trying to do another training module for my Sunrise program that is, in this case, about adding variety. This is my developmental model, but the adding variety, type 1, which is adding one thing. Yes, it's backwards. If you have something that can mirror it for you, you can actually read it. But anyway, for today, we're doing it backwards. Okay, so today's little piece of adding variety is about how to ask a question. And if you're in my program, you're going to be told that generally speaking, it's more constructive to comment in a conversation and add things about yourself and stories and things that your reaction to things than it is to ask questions. But if you have to ask a question, particularly even a clarifying question, which you'll hear from me is a great thing. You want to always have our child or whatever child whoever's listening to this is thinking about, answer in a clear and comprehensible way. But, a thing that we all tend to do with someone who's struggling being understood is we tend to phrase the whole thing out and then just say, right? Did you say you wanted a cookie? Right? Do you want to have dinner now? Like, sort of like yes or no. Everything seems to come out like yes or no, especially when people are struggling. So it's a really high tendency for people to ask lots and lots of what I call loaded questions, leading questions, or yes/no questions. They're kind of all the same thing. So that you're not really getting what the child you're not giving them a chance to answer in complete sentences or to make much out of the sentence, and it's kind of like a conversation stopper instead of a starter. It's like you're just trying to, make it as painless as possible for you rather than watching them struggle, which is really what you want. You want the child to struggle and try to have a whole sentence when, in fact, a yes/no question would be so easy they wouldn't get any good practice. So number one is you would want to rephrase all questions. It takes a little while for people to just sort of create a way of pausing in their head and rephrase a question. So instead of saying, do you want me to, like my daughter, for example, her water might get empty and she'll shake it and go so you can hear the little ice in it. And so it's obvious to a listener that water is empty because you can hear the ice hitting the bottle going up and down, which you can't hear when it's full. And then they'll say, do you want me to get more water? And she'll say, yes. So it's no opportunity for her to learn anything versus just, if you'd like more water, I would just, personally, I wouldn't ask the leading question. I would say, well, if you want me to get you more water, you could just ask. You could ask me. Go ahead and ask. And then she's got to say, can you get me more water? And if she was really less developed, let's say, or more underdeveloped, whatever, you would even just say something like, water or more, and that would be great. Or for more, it wouldn't matter. Like the same principle, you don't want to get kids in the habit of answering the same thing, like yes and no to every question. It doesn't help you learn how to speak. And so what you want to take advantage of the fact that the child wants something to be like, this is perfect. They want something and I know what it is. That's even the perfect scenario because you can kind of sort of help them. You can, it's like playing dumb. You really don't know until somebody says, I want more water. You don't need to go oh, this means get me water. She's not going to go to a restaurant and shake her cup and be like, woo, and hold it up to the waiter. She's going to say, can I have more water? So if the waiter hasn't noticed. So number one is rephrase things open-endedly. Similarly about leading questions, if you, even if it's not a yes/no question, just asking a question in a way that's just, it really seems like it always is a yes/no question, but it's like a loaded question. Like, you don't really want to be eating that, do you? Or, sort of like you want to get going. We want to go home before it gets dark, right? It's like you're kind of forcing it instead of just saying, it's going to get dark. And if we don't leave now, we're not going to get home in time to have dinner and then see Blue's Clues. So we might miss Blue's Clues because we're not going to skip dinner. So do you want to go? And that's fine because you're giving them all this other material. But you don't want to just say, you want to go right now, don't you? Because that's kind of not giving you a chance to talk. And I'm repeating myself. And then the last thing is, let's see. Just for background, autistic people really like a happy person. They really, really crave a happy, excited, not judging person, which is why foundational to the Sunrise program is the loving, accepting, non-judgmental, happy attitude. And you're asking a question that's loaded and you want a yes at the end, you kind of sort of want a yes at the end. The kid can tell that. makes it seem like in order to get you to be happy, they're going to answer yes almost all the time. And so it's kind of like, it's almost like implying that there's a right answer and a wrong answer. You're not really giving them an open-ended way to answer because it's super loaded in one direction. And they don't want an unhappy face. And they figured out if they just say yes almost all the time, you're happier, and they get what they want with like no effort, which is kind of not good for the development, but also you don't want to have to make it be that way. You want to have lots of conversation, and you want to have it look like you're okay with them thinking their way through things. But back to the thing about being happy or unhappy, what happens then is they figure out that they're almost like faking their way through the whole conversation. And what I mean by that is, an example is my daughter was talking to some woman, and the woman kept asking her, so are you on break? And she was like, yes. And she's like, oh, do you go to school around here? She's like, yes. Do you like school? Yes. Is your teacher nice to you? Yes. Are you having a good break? Yes. Are you playing outside a lot because it's nice? Yes. And the whole conversation, my daughter doesn't go to school. She hasn't been there wasn't at school at that time. None of that was true. And like my daughter came away thinking like, oh great, I had a person smile and be happy with me the whole time. How wonderful. And this person's like, oh, I got to know this little girl. But actually like she got a fake version that's not even true. She doesn't know anything about my daughter. She doesn't know my daughter didn't even understand probably almost the whole thing she said, or if she did understand it, she was lying the whole way through because she wanted to say yes to everything. So that's how it ends up. If it's all the yes questions, it's like you don't even know the child. It's a fake. This whole conversation is fake, and it's all just because they're desperate for a happy affect, and they know that the best way to do that is statistically is to say yes to everything coming out of your mouth. So do everyone a favor. Don't expect a yes. Don't phrase things like you want a yes. Just kind of like leave it open-ended. Like, what do you want for your carbohydrate? You can say like, well, no, we have beans, we have blah, blah, blah. What do you want for your carbohydrate? Can you ask for it? If you want carbohydrate, you can just ask for it. Leave things open like that. Or, hey, so what are you doing this week? They got to say it. I'm on break. I'm not on break. Or I don't know what. She could just look at me and be like, I don't know what you're saying. And then that woman would actually know my daughter, which means that she's a person who has profound speech challenges and doesn't know what she's saying. So that's what I want my program is the room for her to struggle and swim. Just like if someone's going to ever learn how to swim on their own, they have to be let to like struggle in the water. You can't just like float them like this. They'll be like, why am I struggling? So anyway, the struggle is a gift. The guided struggle is a gift. So they're not going to drown. They're going to not get frustrated, but they're going to be helped along and with a little bit of prompting if you have to. If you want to have, okay, you could say, if she's struggling, I could say, you can have potatoes or you could have pasta or whatever. You could say one of those. And if that's even a struggle, you could say, if you want potatoes, you could say, I want potatoes. I want potatoes. Oh, very good. Thank you for saying that. And then maybe next time your child will say it with greater ease. So prompting's okay, but you would only want to do that after leaving it open and having them struggle and then slowly adding prompting if you have to. Okay, thanks. Thanks for coming. Oh, remember, again, this is going to be in the area of adding variety, adding one thing, and it's going to be under verbal, sort of like conversational adding one thing. And that's it for today. Thanks for visiting. Happy Playroom. Bye.